The widowed millionaire needed a nanny, but upon seeing her, he asked, "Will you take care of me too?" Autumn rain fell steadily over the cobblestone streets of New York, wrapping the city in a muted gray veil. Streetlights shimmered on the wet pavement, flickering with each droplet that splashed down. Inside a slow-moving bus crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, Isabella Carter clutched her worn handbag tightly against her chest, her fingers chilled by the breeze slipping through a slightly open window. At 29, Isabella once believed her life's path was clear. A music teacher at a prestigious private school in Manhattan, loved by her students and respected by her colleagues. But life never promised certainty. 6 months ago, the school abruptly announced its closure due to financial troubles, and Isabella lost her job in the span of a single meeting. Since then, she had sent out dozens of resumes, only to receive the same familiar response. "We'll keep your application on file and contact you if a position becomes available." Now she was on her way to yet another interview, though this time not at a school. Instead, it was at a grand home in Brooklyn Heights, where a successful widowed architect was seeking someone to both tutor and care for his 7-year-old daughter. The email had been brief. Nathan Hale, 36, head of a renowned architectural firm, had lost his wife 2 years ago in a car accident. His daughter, Emily Hale, had since become withdrawn, quiet, and often refused to interact with strangers. Over the past year, 5 different nannies had come and gone, each giving up after only a few weeks. She glanced at her watch, the minute hand creeping toward the appointed time. Her heart beat faster, not just from fear of being late, but from the questions swirling in her mind. Could I really do this? Would Emily accept me? And could this be the chance I need to start over? The bus stopped near the waterfront. Isabella stepped out, her thin coat instantly dampened by the fine drizzle. The street leading toward the neighborhood was quiet, lined with rows of golden-leaved trees trembling in the wind. In the distance, she spotted a house with glass and steel architecture, standing out boldly among the more traditional brownstones, surely her destination. She took a deep breath, brushed raindrops from her face, and quickened her pace. Despite the cold seeping through her layers, a fragile warmth flickered in her chest. Perhaps today would be the day everything begins to change. The black iron gate swung open smoothly after Isabella pressed the bell. She stepped onto a spotless stone path, flanked by rows of maple trees blazing with autumn orange. The sound of rain mingled with her footsteps, echoing in the quiet space. The house ahead was a harmonious blend of glass, steel, and wood, modern yet warm. As Isabella reached the front steps, the large wooden door opened. A woman in her 60s, silver hair neatly tied back, dressed in a crisp housekeeper's uniform, greeted her with a polite smile. "Miss Carter, I'm Mrs. Grant, the family's housekeeper. Please come in." Inside, warmth replaced the chill outside. Gleaming wooden floors, walls adorned with landscape paintings and architectural sketches. The faint aroma of coffee drifted through the air, easing some of Isabella's tension. Mrs. Grant led her through a wide hallway and stopped before a large wooden door. "Mr. Hale is waiting for you in his study." The door opened to reveal a room lined with bookshelves stretching to the ceiling, architectural plans spread across a massive desk. Nathan Hale stood behind it, tall, dark brown hair slightly tousled as if he had run his hands through it repeatedly. He wore a white shirt with sleeves rolled to his elbows, his tie hanging loose. "Miss Carter, thank you for coming. Please have a seat." His voice was deep and clear, though his eyes carried a trace of fatigue. As they shook hands, Isabella felt both firmness and warmth. "It's a pleasure, Mr. Hale." Nathan flipped through a few pages of her file, glancing up as though weighing something. "I'll be direct. My daughter Emily is bright but slow to open up. She lost her mother 2 years ago, and since then, she hasn't taken to any of the nannies we've hired." Isabella spoke gently. "I understand. Such a loss leaves a deep emptiness for a child." Nathan raised his brows slightly, perhaps surprised she hadn't asked about pay or hours right away. "She needs school drop-offs and pickups, academic help, and someone who can handle her shutting everyone out at times." Isabella nodded. "I've taught many students going through difficult periods. Patience and listening are often the key." A brief silence. Nathan gave a faint smile, the first softening in his gaze. Would you like to meet Emily? She nodded. Mrs. Grant returned to lead the way, with Nathan following. They passed a hallway lined with family photos, a younger, smiling Nathan, with a blonde-haired woman and a little girl grinning widely. Surely Emily in happier times. The staircase led to the second floor, where Nathan stopped at a door plastered with stickers of stars and cats. He knocked lightly. Emily, there's someone here who wants to meet you. No reply. Nathan sighed, turning to Isabella. As I said, she's not easy to reach. Isabella smiled softly. May I try? Nathan stepped back, allowing her to sit down in front of the door. She rested her hand on the carpet, her voice gentle. Hi, Emily, I'm Isabella. I'm not here to make you do anything you don't want to do. Still silence. Isabella glanced at the unicorn stickers on the door, then continued. When I was little, I covered my own bedroom door with stickers too. I'm guessing you like unicorns? A soft yes came, barely more than a whisper. Nathan, standing nearby, froze for a moment. Isabella gave a gentle smile. Then I think you'll like the story about a talking unicorn, if you'd like to hear it. A few seconds of silence passed, then the sound of a chair being pulled from inside. Tell me. Isabella began the story, her voice warm and unhurried, while Nathan watched, realizing she was opening the first door into his daughter Emily's world. Once upon a time, there was a unicorn named Celeste who lived in an enchanted forest with other unicorns. But Celeste had a problem. He thought he was just an ordinary horse because he couldn't see his magical horn. How could he not see it? Emily asked, her little voice now closer to the door. Can you see your own ears when you look in the mirror? No, not really. Exactly, Celeste was the same. He knew he had something special, but he couldn't see it, so he was always sad, thinking he wasn't as important as the other unicorns. Nathan couldn't help but smile. It had been a long time since he'd heard his daughter show genuine interest in anything. So what happened next? Emily asked, now right against the door. One day Celeste was walking through the forest and came across a crystal-clear lake. When he bent down to drink, for the first time he saw his full reflection and saw the horn. But what was even more wonderful was, what was it? Celeste's horn was unlike any other. Instead of gold, it changed color depending on his emotions. Pink when he was happy, red when angry, blue when he missed someone. Emily was quiet for a moment, as if thinking. And after he found out, what did he do? Celeste realized being different wasn't a bad thing. His special horn helped him understand people's emotions. When someone was sad, it turned blue, and he knew how to comfort them. When someone was afraid, it turned purple, and he knew how to help. That's so cool, Emily whispered. Isabella glanced at Nathan. He looked clearly moved. This was the first time in many months he had seen his daughter care about something other than her tablet or the TV. Emily, would you like to open the door so we can get to know each other? I have many more stories about Celeste and his friends. There was the slow sound of a lock turning. The door cracked open, revealing one curious brown eye. Do you really know more stories? Of course, and they're all about special unicorns discovering their own magic. The door opened wider, revealing a little girl with curly brown hair, looking exactly like in the photo, but with a far more serious expression than the innocent smile in the picture. She wore a pink dress speckled with paint, her hands smudged with crayon marks. Were you drawing? Isabella asked, noticing the art supplies. Emily nodded shyly. I was drawing a unicorn, but it's not pretty. Can I see it? I really love unicorn drawings. Emily hesitated, glancing at her father, then opened the door fully. The room was large, filled with toys, many still in their boxes. In the middle, colorful sheets of paper were scattered across the floor. Isabella knelt down, carefully studying each piece. They're beautiful, Emily. No, I couldn't draw the horn right, but the mane is nice. These colors are wonderful, and the eyes look so real. I think your unicorns are full of life. You really think so? Absolutely. You know what? If each unicorn had its own story, your drawings would be even more special. Isabella pointed to one filled with purple. This one looks brave and loves adventures. Well, then to one in blue. And this one seems gentle and like swimming in a clear lake. Emily's eyes lit up. How do you know? The colors told me. Colors always tell a story to those who listen. Nathan leaned against the doorway, quietly watching. Something truly special was happening. His daughter, after months of shutting herself away, was completely engaged with Isabella. Would you like to stay for a snack? Emily asked, looking at her father. Nathan felt a sharp ache in his chest. If your dad says yes, I'd love to, Isabella said with a smile at him. Of course, he replied, his voice husky. Can I show Isabella my other drawings? Emily said, then dashed to a drawer to grab more. Of course, sweetheart. While Emily busied herself, Nathan stepped closer to Isabella, lowering his voice. How did you do that? Children just need to be listened to and understood. Emily is smart and sensitive. She's not difficult. She's just dealing with emotions far too big for her age. Nathan looked at her, realizing there was something about this woman that went far beyond any professional qualifications. Something that, for the first time since Laura's passing, made him feel like someone truly understood what he and his daughter were going through. Isabella, look at this! Emily ran back with a new drawing. It's a unicorn family. 3 figures, 2 large unicorns and a smaller one between them. Nathan's heart tightened. This was clearly a family. That's beautiful, Emily, Isabella said, crouching down to her level. Can you tell me about them? This is the dad unicorn, this is the mom unicorn, and this is the baby. And where is the mom unicorn? Isabella asked softly. She went to unicorn heaven, but sometimes I draw her so she won't forget me. Nathan turned away, pretending to look at the bookshelf to hide the tear in his eye. I think the mom unicorn will never forget you. Moms never forget their children, no matter how far they go. Do you think she can see my drawings? I'm certain she can, and she'd be so proud to see you drawing so beautifully and bravely. Emily thought for a moment, then suddenly hugged Isabella tightly. Will you be my nanny? She asked, looking straight into her eyes. Nathan turned back and saw it. His daughter, the same one who had rejected 5 nannies before, was now asking Isabella to stay. You'll have to ask your dad about that, Isabella smiled. Emily immediately ran over to tug at Nathan's hand. Daddy, please. Isabella knows how to tell unicorn stories, and she likes my drawings. Nathan looked at his daughter, then turned to Isabella, who was still kneeling among the scattered sheets of drawings on the floor. In that moment, he made a decision that would change all of their lives. Miss Carter, he said formally, but with a genuine smile. Would you like to take the job? On Monday morning, Isabella arrived at the Hale residence early. Mrs. Grant greeted her with a cup of hot tea and a neatly printed schedule. Emily's drop-off and pickup times, homework hour, dinner, and a reading slot before bed. On that first day, Emily walked into the kitchen, hair tousled and still sleepy. But when she saw Isabella, her eyes lit up. You really came back, Emily exclaimed, sliding into her chair. Breakfast began with pancakes and a story about Luna the cat. Isabella let Emily choose whether each pancake would be shaped like a heart or a star, turning the meal into a game. Emily finished every bite, something Mrs. Grant said was rare. Afternoons after school, Isabella and Emily sat at the dining table for homework. If Emily grew restless, Isabella turned math problems into secret missions and writing assignments into letters to the violin that could listen. Soon, Emily began completing her work without complaints. On the first weekend, Nathan came home early to find Emily at the piano, Isabella beside her turning the pages of sheet music. The notes weren't perfect, but Nathan lingered in the doorway for a long time, unwilling to break the moment. At night, after a chapter of their bedtime book, Emily often asked, "You'll come tomorrow, right?" Isabella smiled. Tomorrow and many days after that. In the weeks that followed, everything settled into a rhythm, hurried but warm mornings, laughter echoing through the kitchen as they cooked together, and quiet evenings reading under soft golden light. Nathan noticed his daughter talking more, eating better, and starting to share stories about school. Each time his gaze inevitably rested on Isabella, as if silently thanking her without needing words. Isabella was no longer just the nanny. She had become part of the heartbeat of this home. And though no one had said it aloud, they all felt it. On a rainy Thursday, Isabella decided to carry out an idea she'd been keeping since her very first day. After picking Emily up from school, instead of heading straight home, she asked the driver to stop at the bookstore on. "Where are we going?" Emily asked curiously, looking out at the bustling streets. "We're going on a special treasure hunt," Isabella replied mysteriously. The bookstore was huge, 3 floors filled with books. Emily was awestruck by the space. Isabella led her straight to the children's section, where the shelves were bright and colorful. "What's the treasure?" Emily whispered as if they were on a secret adventure. "New stories. Stories no one has ever read to you before." They spent almost an hour exploring. Isabella paid close attention to Emily's reactions to find what she truly liked. Emily quickly passed over familiar fairy tales, but became excited about stories featuring animals, adventures, and especially books about friendship. They left the bookstore with 5 new books, Emily happily flipping through the illustrations in the car, guessing the plots. When they got home, they found Nathan in the living room, still in his suit but with his tie loosened, sorting through papers. "Daddy!" Emily ran to hug him. "Look, Isabella bought me books." "Oh, books?" Nathan glanced at the bag. "Yes, new stories. Isabella said we'll read them together." Nathan gave Isabella a look, hard to read. "You went to a bookstore?" "Yes, I hope you don't mind. I thought it would be good to spark her interest in reading." "Of course I don't mind. That's a great idea," he said, though his tone carried something else beneath it. "Daddy, do you want to see the picture I drew today?" Isabella said the blue princess is braver than the pink princess. This time Nathan smiled genuinely. "Let's see it." While Emily ran off to get her drawings, Nathan stepped closer to Isabella. "Thank you for caring about her development beyond the scope of your job." "That's my job?" "Actually, no. It's more than a job. Emily is a very special girl." He looked at her as if realizing her feelings for his daughter went beyond duty. Emily returned with a stack of drawings. Nathan knelt down to her level, and Isabella noticed all the tension in his shoulders vanish when he was with his daughter. Nathan turned the pages and saw that the new drawings were full of color and cheerful characters, so different from the dark, lonely ones she'd made before. "Emily, why don't you tell me about these over dinner? We'll order pizza and turn the kitchen table into an art exhibit." "Really, pizza?" Emily jumped in excitement. "And Isabella, would you like to join us?" "I'm sure Emily would love someone to read her new stories." Isabella hesitated. "Bella, dinner wasn't part of her job, but..." "Please stay," Emily said, holding her hand. "After pizza, you can read the new stories." "If it's not a bother..." Isabella looked at Nathan. "Not a bother at all," he said firmly. Dinner turned out unexpectedly warm. Emily happily narrated her picture stories, while Nathan listened and even suggested new ideas for the characters. What if Princess Celeste met a dragon who only had a stomachache? "Daddy!" Emily burst out laughing. "Why not? Anyone can get a stomachache, even a unicorn, especially if they eat too many colorful flowers." Isabella laughed, realizing Nathan was smiling at her too. He looked lighter, far more approachable than at their first interview. After dinner, Emily picked one of the new books. "Now you read to me." "How about we all read together in the living room? I'll make hot chocolate." "You can really make it?" Emily asked in surprise. "Your mom taught me," Nathan said. And Isabella noticed it was the first time he'd mentioned Laura without his voice catching. A few minutes later, the 3 of them sat together. Nathan in the armchair, Emily leaning against Isabella on the sofa, 3 steaming mugs of hot chocolate on the table. "Which story first?" "The one about the girl in the tree," Emily answered instantly. Isabella opened the book and began to read. The story was about a little girl named Anna who moved into a new house and felt very lonely until she discovered an ancient tree in the garden that seemed to listen to all her secrets. Anna couldn't explain why, but every time she talked to the tree, she felt less alone. Isabella read, noticing that Emily was completely focused on every word. "It's like me when I draw," Emily whispered, as if speaking to someone invisible. Nathan studied his daughter closely. "What do you mean, Princess?" "When I draw unicorns, I feel like they're my real friends, like they understand when I'm sad or when I miss someone." Nathan and Isabella exchanged a meaningful glance. This was the first time Emily had expressed her feelings so clearly. "When do you feel sad or miss someone?" Isabella asked gently. Emily hesitated, looking toward her father. "When I miss Mom, or when you're away at work for too long." Nathan leaned toward her. Emily, you know I work to take care of you. Not because I don't want to be home, right? I know, but sometimes the house feels too quiet. And now, with Isabella here? Emily smiled. Now it's different. Isabella tells stories, likes my drawings, and she doesn't get mad when I ask a lot of questions. Isabella felt her heart tighten. You can ask me as many questions as you want, Emily, especially about your mom. Nathan sat silently, his eyes betraying feelings he could barely hide. When Emily leaned closer to Isabella to listen, Nathan whispered a thank you, so softly it was almost inaudible. They finished the story with Emily nearly asleep on Isabella's shoulder. Nathan gently lifted her into his arms. Let's get you to bed, sweetheart. Isabella, Emily mumbled sleepily. Will you still be here tomorrow? Of course, Isabella assured her, brushing a few stray strands of hair from her face. When Nathan went upstairs, Isabella gathered the mugs and carried them into the kitchen to wash. A moment later, he returned. She fell asleep the second her head hit the pillow, he said, stepping closer to help her with the dishes. It's been a long day for her, Isabella replied, aware of the sudden closeness. Isabella, Nathan's voice grew more serious. May I ask you something? Of course. Why did you really take this job? With your qualifications, you could easily work at better schools, with higher pay and more prestige. Isabella paused, ready to give her usual answer about needing the money, but his gaze made her choose the truth instead. Because Emily needs me, and because I need her too. How so? I lost my father when I was 7. I know what it feels like when your whole world changes in an instant. Emily reminds me of myself back then. Nathan was quiet for a few seconds. I'm sorry for your loss. It was a long time ago, but some things you never forget. The feeling that something essential is missing from your life. You're right, Nathan murmured. Some things you never forget. They fell silent, each lost in their own memories. Nathan, Isabella said, calling him by his first name for the first time. May I ask you something? Go ahead. How did you feel today, seeing Emily express herself so openly? Nathan ran a hand through his hair, a habit when he was troubled. Relieved, very relieved. These past months, I haven't known how to talk to her about the important things. She loves you so much, that's obvious. I know, but sometimes I feel like I'm not enough, that she needs what? A mother figure, someone who understands things that I, as a man, may not be able to. Isabella met his gaze directly. Nathan, you're doing a wonderful job raising Emily on your own. She's kind, intelligent, and caring, and that doesn't happen by accident. You really think so? I'm certain, because even after loss, Emily still knows how to love, to trust, to open up to someone new. That only happens when a child feels safe and loved. Nathan looked at her with gratitude, relief, and something that made her heart beat faster. Thank you for everything, for caring for her, for understanding her, for helping us find each other again as a family. The way he said us made Isabella realize she wasn't just taking care of Emily. She was helping to heal a family. That realization was both deeply moving and quietly unsettling. A month later, life at the Hale household felt almost natural. Isabella arrived at 7 in the morning, shared coffee with Grant, discussed the day's plans, and always found Emily already awake, eager to start a new day. One late afternoon, while Isabella was coloring a landscape with Emily, Nathan walked into the living room, looking thoughtful. He sat down across from them, still holding a cup of coffee. Next week, I have to go to Chicago for a week to finalize a contract with a major client, Nathan began. Mrs. Grant will be visiting her family in Maine. I wanted to ask, could you stay here with Emily for the whole time? Isabella hesitated briefly, then nodded. Of course. Emily looked up, her eyes wide. You'll sleep here too? Yes, if you'd like me to. Emily beamed, and Nathan's expression eased. The day Nathan left, the air was crisp, golden leaves scattered across the walkway. Emily hugged her father tightly at the door, and Nathan whispered something that made her nod. When his car disappeared from view, Emily turned to Isabella. Now it's just the two of us. That week became a string of memorable days. Mornings began with self-serve breakfasts Emily was in charge of, choosing the menu, from sunny-side-up eggs to peanut butter sandwiches. Afternoons after homework, they hosted little pajama parties, baking cat-shaped cookies, building a blanket fort in the middle of the living room, and telling stories by flashlight. One evening, Emily pulled a small wooden box from her closet. Inside were old sheet music pages, her mother's handwriting across the margins. "Mom used to play these with me," Emily whispered. Isabella gently placed one sheet on the piano stand. "Want to try?" Emily sat down, her small hands touching the keys. The notes came hesitantly at first, then more fluidly as Isabella joined in with a soft harmony. Late at night, after Emily had gone to bed, Nathan would call. At first it was just to check on Emily, but over time the conversations grew longer, filled with stories of his trips, family memories, and even quiet moments that didn't feel awkward at all. "I don't know how to thank you," Nathan said one evening. For the first time in 2 years, Emily is truly laughing again. Isabella was silent for a moment before replying, "I think Emily just needs to feel heard." By the end of the week, both Emily and Isabella felt the time had passed too quickly. And somewhere in those days, a new thread had formed, not only between Isabella and Emily, but between Isabella and Nathan as well. On Sunday afternoon, Nathan returned. His car stopped at the gate, and immediately Emily ran out, wrapping her arms tightly around her father. Nathan held her close, kissed the top of her head, then looked toward Isabella standing on the steps. "How were things at home?" he asked as they stepped inside. "Very good. Emily finished all her homework, and she even played the piano." Nathan paused for a moment, then smiled. That evening, after Emily had gone to bed, Nathan invited Isabella out to the porch. The autumn night was cool, with the scent of maple wood drifting on the breeze. Warm light from the living room spilled onto the small table between them. "I've heard all about the past week from Emily," Nathan began. "She's so happy." Isabella smiled softly. "Honestly, I'm happy too. Emily has such a vivid imagination and a warm heart. She just needs time to open up." Nathan leaned back in his chair, his voice quieter. "After Laura passed, I didn't know how to help her. Work, grief. It all swept me along. There were times I thought I'd failed as a father." Isabella looked at him, seeing the honesty behind his words. "I don't think so. Sometimes we just need someone to walk with us through that emptiness." Silence settled between them, broken only by the rustle of leaves in the wind. Nathan turned toward her, a faint smile on his lips. "I realize. I want to thank you, not just for Emily." Isabella tilted her head slightly. "What do you mean?" "This past week I got messages from Emily every night. Every one of them mentioned you, and I found myself looking forward to those calls more than I expected." A warm current moved through Isabella's chest. She lowered her gaze, avoiding his eyes, but unable to hide a faint, uncertain smile. "Nathan," she hesitated, "we should take it slow. I don't want Emily to feel unsettled." "I know," he nodded. But I think it would be wrong to pretend there's nothing here." That night, as they went back inside, they each carried a quiet awareness. Something was growing, not hurried, but steady. In the weeks that followed, they talked more, not just about Emily, but about their hobbies, memories, and things they'd never shared with anyone else. Nathan told her about his college days and his first architectural projects. Isabella shared about her first time conducting a school choir on stage. Emily, though not fully aware, could sense the warmer atmosphere in the house, and sometimes her gaze lingered a little longer between Nathan and Isabella, as if she were piecing the fragments together. One Friday evening after dinner, Emily tugged Isabella toward the bookshelf in the corner of the living room. She pulled out a well-worn fairy tale book, sat in the armchair, and patted the seat beside her. "Sit here." Isabella sat down and opened the book, but before she could start reading, Emily tilted her head and asked, "Can you stay forever?" Isabella blinked, closing the book slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean, not just here to watch me. Forever. Like family." Isabella fell silent for a moment, feeling her heartbeat quicken. Nathan, standing in the kitchen doorway, froze, catching every word. "Emily, that's not something only I can decide," Isabella said gently. The little girl frowned. I know, but I think Dad wants that too. Isabella glanced toward Nathan. Their eyes met, unflinching. That night, after Emily had gone to bed, Nathan found Isabella on the back porch. The air carried the faint scent of burning wood from a neighbor's fireplace. She's right, Nathan began. I want you to stay, not just for Emily. Isabella looked at him, her eyes serious yet warm. Nathan, we need to be sure this isn't just a passing feeling. I've thought about it more than you realize. That week in Chicago, every time we talked, I realized it's been a long time since I wanted to share everything with someone like that. The quiet between them felt weighted with meaning. Nathan stepped forward, closing the space. I don't want to pressure you, but I want to try, building a life together. Isabella gave a small smile, her expression a mix of worry and hope. If we do, we take it one step at a time. For Emily, Nathan nodded, a faint smile on his lips. That night they didn't say much more, but both knew something had shifted. From then on, every glance, every conversation carried an unspoken promise, a new path they both wanted to follow. In the months that followed, their relationship settled into something steady. Nathan and Isabella kept nothing from Emily, and she accepted everything naturally, as if it was the most expected outcome. One evening, while the three of them were cooking together, Nathan suddenly turned to Isabella, his smile gentle but his eyes resolute. Isabella, I think it's time. She tilted her head slightly. Time for what? Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small blue velvet box. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. For you to officially become part of this family. Emily's eyes went wide. She dropped her wooden spoon and squealed softly. Say yes, please, Isabella laughed, her eyes shimmering. Yes. The wedding took place on a late summer afternoon in the backyard garden. Simple wooden chairs, strings of golden lights hanging between branches, and white flowers blooming along the aisle. Emily wore a blue dress, carrying a basket of petals, smiling as she walked. During the vows, Nathan held Isabella's hand firmly. I promise to build a home with you, not just for us, but for Emily, and for the memories of Laura. Isabella nodded, her voice caught with emotion. When the officiant declared them husband and wife, Emily ran forward to wrap her arms around them both, her clear voice saying, Mom Laura is definitely smiling. In that moment, no one held back their tears. And in the golden light of the evening, a new family truly began. Autumn had returned, bringing gentle breezes and golden leaves scattered along the front porch path. That evening, the three of them sat on the wooden swing outside, wrapped together in a large wool blanket. Emily was in the middle, her head resting on Isabella's shoulder, while Nathan's arm encircled them both. The night sky sparkled with stars. Emily looked up, her voice soft as the wind. Dad, Miss Isabella, do you think Mom Laura can see us from up there? Nathan gave her hand a gentle squeeze. I believe she can. Isabella smiled, brushing her fingers lightly against Emily's cheek. And if she's watching, I'm sure she's proud of how brave and loving you've grown. Emily was quiet for a moment, then slipped her small hands into both of theirs. I'm happy. Now I have both a dad and a mom. Nathan and Isabella exchanged a glance, smiles mingling with the emotion in their eyes. They knew the road ahead would still bring challenges, but now they would face them together. The maple branches swayed softly, carrying the familiar scent of autumn. In that moment, they all understood. Family isn't only made of blood, but of love, choice, and faith in one another. A new chapter had begun, and they all believed it would be the most beautiful one yet.